Everybody, so happy to have you here for this 84th installment in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, the beautiful story of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And this chapter is entitled The Sage's Teachings at Kurukshetra. So, this is a very long chapter. If everybody would be kind enough to take 10 or 15 verses and then pass it on to somebody else, I will start, but only after there's Vamsi Haribo Vamsi. Only after we offer pranam. So join me. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devim Gauravan Pradacharane Nirvishesha Shunyvari Paschatya Reshatarane Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
All right. Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's go. We've only got 6 chapters left in the 10th canto. So let's get started. Text 1, I'll read the first 10. Sukadeva Goswami said, Prita Gandhari, Draupadi, Subhadra, the wives of the other kings, and the Lord's cowherd girlfriends were all amazed to hear the queen's deep love for Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and soul of all beings, and their eyes filled up with tears. As the women thus talked amongst themselves, and the men amongst themselves, a number of great sages arrived there, all of them eager to see Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram. They included Dvaipayana, Narada, Shavana, Devala, and Asita, Vishvamrita, Satananda, Bharadwaja, and Gautama, Lord Parshuram and his disciples, Vishishta, Galava, Brighu, Pulastya, and Kashyapa, Atri, Markandeya, and Brihaspati, Dvita, Trita, Ekata, and the four Kumaras, and Angira, Agastya, Yagyavalkya, and Vamanadev. Wow. This is the star chamber, guys. As soon as they saw the sages approaching, the kings and other gentlemen who had been seated immediately stood up, including the Pandava brothers and Krishna and Balaram. Then they all bowed down to the sages who are honored throughout the universe. Lord Krishna, Lord Balaram, and the other kings and leaders properly worshiped the sages by offering them words of greeting, sitting places, water for washing their feet, drinking water, flower garlands, incense, and sandalwood paste. After the sages were comfortably seated, the Supreme Lord Krishna, whose transcendental body protects religious principles, addressed them in the midst of that great assembly. Everyone listened silently with rapt attention. Who would like to do the Supreme Lord's discourse here?
My
I'm up.
husband would like to, Bhavananda would like to.
Okay, let's see if there's some tough. Okay, well, go ahead. Okay, so
Yeah, if there's any
Check the
stuff.
words out.
go ahead. Go ahead. Take 10.
It's 9.
Okay.
Text 9. The
All right.
Lord said, now our lives are indeed successful, for we have obtained life's ultimate goal, the audience of great yoga masters, which even demigods only rarely obtain. How is it that people who are not very austere and who recognize God only in his deity form in the temple can now see you, touch you, inquire from you, bow down to you, worship your feet, and serve you in other ways? Mere bodies of water are not real sacred places of pilgrimage, nor are mere images of earth and stone the true worshipful deities. These purify one only after a long time, but saintly sages purify one immediately upon being seen. Neither the demigods controlling fire, the sun, the moon, and the stars, nor those in charge of earth, water, ether, air, speech, and mind actually remove the sins of their worshippers, who continue to see in terms of dualities. But wise sages destroy one's sins when respectfully served, even for a few moments. One who identifies himself as an inert body composed of mucus, bile, and air who assumes his wife and family are permanently his own, who thinks an earthen image or a land of his birth is worshipable, or who sees a place of pilgrimage as merely the water there, but who never identifies himself with, feels kinship with, worships, or even visit those who are wise in spiritual truth. Such a person is no better than a cow or an ass. Sukadeva Goswami said, hearing such unfathomable words from the unlimited wise Lord Krishna, the learned Brahmanas remained silent, their minds bewildered. For some time, the sages pondered the Supreme Lord's behavior, which resembled that of a subordinate living being. They concluded that he was acting this way to instruct the people in general. Thus they smiled and spoke to him, the spiritual master of the universe. The great sages said, your power of illusion has totally bewildered us, the most exalted knowers of the truth and leaders among the universal creators. Ah, how amazing is the behavior of the Supreme Lord. He covers himself with his human-like activities and pretends to be subject to superior control. Indeed, the human-like pastimes of the Almighty are simply a simply a pretense. Effortlessly, he alone sends forth from his self this variegated creation, maintains it, and then swallows it up again, all without becoming entangled, just as the element earth takes on many names and forms in its various transformations. Nevertheless, at suitable times, you assume the pure mode of goodness to protect your devotees and punish the wicked. Thus, you, the soul of Varnashrama, social order, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, maintain the eternal path of the Vedas by enjoying your pleasure pastimes. The Vedas are your spotless heart. The Vedas are your spotless heart, and through them one can perceive by means of austerity, study, and self-control the manifest, the unmanifested, and the pure existence transcendental to both. Somebody want to pick it up there?
Yeah, who would like to read?
Unless I read, because I'm already on,
Okay.
speaker. And also it gives Vamsi a little time to get home from karate.
Oh.
Therefore, O Supreme Brahman, you honor the members of the Brahminical community, for they are the perfect agents by which one can realize you through the evidence of the Vedas. For that very reason, you are the foremost worshipper of the Brahmanas. Today, our birth, education, austerity, and vision have all become perfect because we have been able to associate with you, the goal of all saintly persons. Indeed, you yourself are the ultimate supreme blessing. Let us offer obeisances unto that supreme personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, the infinitely intelligent supersoul, who has disguised his greatness through his mystic Yogamaya. Neither these kings nor even the Vrishnis who enjoy your intimate association know you as the soul of all existence, the force of time, and the supreme controller. For them you are covered by the curtain of Maya. A sleeping person imagines an alternative reality for himself, and seeing himself as having various names and forms, forgets his waking identity, which is distinct from the dream. Similarly, the senses of one whose consciousness is bewildered by illusion perceive only the names and forms of material objects. Thus such a person loses his memory and cannot know you. Today we have directly seen your feet, the source of the holy Ganges, which washes away volumes of sins. Perfected yogis can at best meditate upon your feet within their hearts, but only those who render you wholeheartedly devotional service and in this way vanquish the soul's covering, the material mind, attain you as their final destination. Therefore kindly show mercy to us, your devotees. Sukadev Goswami said, having thus spoken, O wise king, the sages then took leave of Lord Dasaha, Dhritarashtra, and Yudhishthir, and prepared to depart for their ashrams. Seeing that they were about to leave, the renowned Vasudeva approached the sages. After bowing down to them and touching their feet, he spoke to them with carefully chosen words. Sri Vasudeva said, obeisances to you, the residents of all the demigods. Please hear me, O sages. Kindly tell us how the reactions of one's work can be counteracted by further work. Sri Narada Muni said, O Brahmanas, it is not so amazing that in his eagerness to know, Vasudeva has asked us about his ultimate benefit, for he considers Krishna a mere boy. In this world, familiarity breeds contempt. For example, one who lives on the banks of the Ganges might travel to some other body of water to be purified. The Supreme Lord's awareness is never disturbed by time, by the creation and destruction of the universe, by changes in its own qualities, or by anything else, whether self-caused or eternal. But although the consciousness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme, one without a second, is never affected by material distresses, by the reactions of material work, or by the constant flow of nature's modes, ordinary persons nonetheless think that the Lord is covered by his own creation of prana and other material elements, just as one may think that the sun is covered by clouds, snow, or an eclipse. Sukadev Goswami continued, the sages then spoke again, O king, addressing Vasudeva, while all the kings, along with Lord Achyuta and Lord Rama, listened. Okay, someone else want to take?
Yep. Who wants to take it from 34?
I can read, Prabhuji. If it's okay.
35.
All right, 35. The sages said, it has been definitely concluded that work is counteracted by further work when one executes Vedic sacrifices as a means of worshipping Vishnu, the Lord of all sacrifices, with sincere faith. Learned authorities who see through the eye of scriptures have demonstrated that this is the easiest method of subduing the agitated mind and attaining liberation, and that is the sacred duty which brings joy to the heart. This is the most auspicious path for a religious householder of the twice-born orders to selflessly worship the personality of Godhead with wealth honestly obtained. An intelligent person should learn to renounce his desires for the wealth by performing sacrifices and acts of charity. He should learn to renounce his desire for wife and children by experiencing family life. And he should learn to renounce his desire for promotion to a higher planet in his next life. O saintly Vasudeva, by studying the effects of time, self-control sages who have thus renounced their attachments to household life go to the forest to perform austerities. Dear Prabhu, a member of the twice-born classes is born with three kinds of debts: those owed to the demigods, to the sages, and to his forefathers. If he leaves his body without first liquidating these debts by performing sacrifices, studying the scriptures, and begetting children, he will fall down into a hellish condition. But you, O magnanimous soul, are always free from two of your debts, those to the sages and the forefathers. Now, absolve yourself of your debt to the demigods by executing Vedic sacrifices, and in this way, free yourself completely of debt and renounce all material shelter. O Vasudeva, without doubt, you must have previously worshipped Lord Hari, the master of all worlds. Both you and your wife must have perfectly worshipped him with supreme devotion, since he has accepted the role of your son. Sukadeva Goswami said, after hearing these statements of the sages, generous Vasudev bowed his head to the ground and praising them, requested them to become his priest. Thus requested by him, O king, the sages engaged the pious Vasudev in performing 5 sacrifices at the holy place of Kurusetra according to the strict religious principles and with most excellent ritual arrangement. When Maharaj Vasudev was about to be initiated for the sacrifice, O king, the Vrishnis came to the initiation pavilion after bathing and putting on fine clothes and garlands of lotuses. The other kings also came, elaborately ornamented, as well as all their joyful queens who wore jewel lockets around their necks and were also clad in fine garments. The royal wives were anointed with sandalwood paste and carried auspicious items for the worship. Mridangas, patahas, conch shells, berries, anakas, and other instruments resounded. Male and female dancers danced, and sutas and magadas recited glorifications. Sweet-voiced Gandharvis sang accompanied by their husbands. After Vasudeva's eyes had been decorated with black cosmetic and his body smeared with fresh butter, the priest initiated him according to scriptural rules by sprinkling him with him and his 18 wives with sacred water. Encircled by his wives, he resembled the regal moon encircled by stars. Vasudeva received initiation along with his wife, who wore silk saris and were adorned with bangles, necklaces, ankle bells, and earrings. With his body wrapped in a deer skin, Vasudev shone splendidly. My dear Maharaj Parikshit, Vasudev's priests and the officiating members of the assembly, dressed in silk dhotis and jeweled ornaments, looked so effulgent that they seemed to be standing in the sacrificial arena of Indra, the killer of Vritra. At that time, Balarama and Krishna, the lords of all living entities, shone forth with great majesty in the company of their respective sons, wives, and other family members who were expansions of their opulence, performing various kinds of Vedic sacrifice according to the proper regulation. Vasudeva worshipped the Lord of all sacrificial paraphernalia, mantras, and rituals. He executed both primary and secondary sacrifices, offering oblations to the sacred fire and carrying out other aspects of sacrificial worship. Then, at the appropriate time and according to scriptures, Vasudeva remunerated the priests by decorating them with precious ornaments, though they were already richly adorned, and offering them valuable gifts of cows, land, marriageable girls. After supervising the Patni Samyagya and Avabhritya rituals, the great Brahmana sages bathed in Lord Parashuram's lake with the sponsor of the sacrifice, Vasudeva, who led them. His sacred bath complete, Vasudeva joined with his wife in giving the jewelry and clothes they had been wearing to the professional reciters. Vasudeva then put on new garments, after which he honored all classes of people by feeding everyone, even the dogs. With opulent gifts, he honored his relatives, including all their wives and children, the royalty of Vidarbha, Koshala, Kuru, Karti, Kekeya, and Srinjaya kingdoms. The officiating members of the assembly and also the priests witnessed demigods, human spirits, forefathers, and charanas. Then, taking permission from Lord Krishna, the shelter of the goddess of fortune, the various guests departed as they all chanted the glories of Vasudeva's sacrifice. The Yadus were all embraced by their friends, close family members, and other relatives, including Dhritarashtra and his younger brother Vidura. Pritha and her sons, Bhishma, Drona, and the twins Nakula and Sahadeva, Narada and Vyasadeva, the personality of Godhead, their hearts melting with affection, these and the other guests left for their kingdoms, their progress slowed by the pain of separation. Nanda Maharaj showed his affection for his relatives, the Yadus, by remaining with them a little longer, together with his cowherds. During his stay, Krishna, Balram, Ugrasena, and the others honored him with especially opulent worship. Having so easily crossed over the vast ocean of his ambition, Vasudeva felt fully satisfied in the company of his many well-wishers. He took Nanda by the hand and addressed him as follows. Sri Vasudeva said, "My dear brother, God himself has tied the knot called affection, which tightly binds human beings together. It seems to me that even great heroes and mystics find it very difficult to free themselves from it. Indeed, the Supreme Lord must have created the bonds of affection for such exalted saints as you have never stopped showing matchless friendship towards us ingrates, although it has never been properly reciprocated. Previously, dear brother, we did nothing to benefit you because you were unable to. Yet even now that you are present before us, our eyes are so blinded by the intoxication of material good fortune that we continue to ignore you. O most respectful one, may a person who wants the highest benefit in life never gain kingly opulence, for it leaves him blind to the needs of his own family and friends." Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, his heart softened by feelings of intimate sympathy. Vasudeva wept, his eyes brimming with tears as he remembered his friendship Nanda had shown him. And on his part, Nanda was also full of affection for his friend Vasudeva. Thus, during the following days, Nanda would repeatedly announce, "I will be leaving later today, and I will be leaving tomorrow." But out of love for Krishna and Balaram, he remained there for 3 more months, honored by all the Yadus. Then after Vasudeva,
Well, if you don't mind, there's only about 4 more verses. If Hanumat or Heb would like to read, let's give them an opportunity.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You're fired up, man.
Krishna.
You're going for it. I love it, Pop. That's really good. Does anybody, Heb, do you want to read?
Yeah, I was thinking it was, yeah.
Heb, do you want to read? I don't see Heb stepping up to the plate. Maharaj, would you be kind to read these last 5 or 6 verses?
Okay. One quick comment in the list of the sages in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's one sage, Vamadeva. And I was always also, whenever he appeared, thinking he was Vamana Deva. But it's a different sage. It's Vamadeva, not Vamana Deva.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other point is that it kind of communicates that Vasudeva asks, is there a fruitive activity that is so fruitive that it counteracts the results of all other fruitive activities. It's like Leonard Cohen. He says there's a thing called the Gambler's Song, and he said he's looking for the card that is so high and wild, he'll never have to deal another. So that's what Vasudeva is asking. Is there a fruitive activity that is so fruitive that it is once you do that one, all other fruitive activities are counteracted forever? Okay, then after Vasudeva, Ugrasena, Krishna, Uddhava, Balaram, and others had fulfilled his desires and presented him with precious ornaments, fine linen, and varieties of priceless household furnishings, Nanda Maharaj accepted all these gifts and took his leave. Seen off by all the Yadus, he departed with his family members and the residents of Braja. Unable to withdraw their minds from Lord Govinda's lotus feet, where they had surrendered them, Nanda and the Kahar, men and women, returned to Mathura. Their relatives having thus departed, and seeing the rainy season was approaching, the Vrishnis, whose only lord was Krishna, went back to Dwarka. They told the people of the city about the festive sacrifices performed by Vasudeva and the Yadus, and about everything else that had happened during their pilgrimage, especially how they had met all their loved ones.
Very nice. That's a beautiful, beautiful chapter. We love that chapter. Good points, Maharaj, too. Yeah, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in 3:9, Yagyartat karmanon yatra loko yam karma bandhana tadartam karma konte ya mukta sangha samachara. So if you don't do work for Vishnu, you're going to have work bind you to the material world. That's all there is to it. And so the thing about karma kanda is that most people are used to doing that because they're seeking some temporary arrangement in the material world, and they go to the demigods for that. A Brahma, Bhuvanal, Loka. We understand that it doesn't matter even if you go to Brahma Loka, you're still going to have these problems of birth, death, old age, disease. So the idea is how do we unentangle ourselves in this material world? And one of the greatest chapters in my mind in the Bhagavad Gita is the chapter 16. It's got 25 verses in it. And if you read those 25 verses, it's a short chapter. It's the shortest chapter, I think, in the whole thing. But it lays it out so carefully and so succinctly that there can be no question further. No, if you have any questions after you read that chapter, you got to go back and read it because you missed something. And so the Supreme Personality of Godhead describes all these characteristics of these great Vaishnavas that are assembled in this assembly here. And they're filled with fearlessness. They're involved in the purification of their existence. They're involved in the cultivation of spiritual knowledge. Over and over in this chapter, we hear the word generous. So they're giving in charity regularly. They have perfect self-control, and they're involved in the performance of sacrifice, including the study of the Vedas. And they're involved in austerity, and they're involved in simplicity, nonviolence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, and renunciation, tranquility. Wouldn't that be a nice feeling? Aversion to fault finding. Aversion to fault finding. Boy, if we could just do that one, just that one, if we could just do one, aversion to fault finding, I think we'd be doing great. Compassion for all living entities and freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness. See, there's another one. Everybody has a lot of problems with that, walking around holding grudges. Fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion of honor. What happened to that? Remember what happened to Ramaharsana when Balaram went? What did he do? He used his kusha grass weapon. It's called a weapon. And he touched the body of Ramaharsana with it, and he immediately passed away. He died, and he installed his son on the Vyasa. So it says we have to become free from these things. And these transcendental qualities, these are called transcendental qualities because these are qualities that you carry with you. even beyond this world and this life. And they belong to godly men endowed with divine nature. So I really love that. And when we think about that, we understand. So our duty is somehow or another, we don't want to discourage people from these acts of devotion. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in 326, he says, Nabudhi bedam janayed, agyanam karma sanginam, josiyet sarva karmani, vidvan yukta samacharan. So let not the wise disrupt the minds of the ignorant who are attached to fruitive action. But they should be encouraged to refrain from work, but to engage in work in the spirit of devotion. So, it's not like we're going to give up, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no, like the monkeys do, right? When you see that picture, it's not like we're going to do that. What we're going to do is engage our senses in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by doing, we're going to develop these moods and these of devotion, these friendships with the Vaishnavas, and we're going to become enlightened in their association. We're going to feel some ecstasy and freedom from all of this entanglement that we have in these three modes of material nature, which simply bring unlimited suffering. Prabhupada said any activity in the material world that's not connected to Krishna, the only result is the reward is the trouble that it takes. And a person who's involved in that, his breathing is no better than the bellows in a blacksmith shop. So we don't want to feel like that. But we're under the influence of the material nature. We're under the influence of the three modes of material nature, and we think we're the doer. We think we are. Our false ego makes us think that we are perfect, powerful. We are happy. This is demoniac. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha. Ahankara vimudhatma. These are ahankaras. We're mudhas. We're ignorant if we think that we are the doer of any activity. All we do is desire, man proposes, God disposes. And so how can we take credit for these borrowed plumes? That's the question. Whatever we think we've achieved, whatever level of success, whatever it is, it's all by the grace of Krishna. We wouldn't have any of these things if it weren't for the Lord. So we should abandon any repulsion to sense objects, even though they're felt by all embodied beings. We should abandon all of these things because we shouldn't fall under the control of the senses of the sense objects. Because when we do, they become stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. So in the next verse in the Divine and Demoniac chapter in text 4, it says, pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness. Harshness. I read somewhere, and you might know where this is, Maharaj. I read somewhere some time ago. It says that if your wife speaks harshly to you, the husband should immediately leave for the forest. Have you heard that one, Maharaj? So you should immediately leave for the forest, right?
I didn't hear immediately, but I heard the rest. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe not immediately. Maybe you should
Yeah.
work on it a little bit before you go. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, these characteristics and qualities actually belong to the demoniac nature of a person. So we call this the Bhaktivedanta Hospital. We come to it every Wednesday night here, and we're bringing with us our disease. Like today, I've got this terrible abscess in my jaw. It hurts. But we're bringing not only our physical diseases, but we're bringing all of our Maya, our misconceptions, our conditioning in the material world with us. And when we bring those to the table, it's very offensive. It's harsh. It's based in ignorance. It's based in conceit. And therefore, anger comes because our pride is somehow or another damaged by the truth. Don't want to hear it. So, we shouldn't think that if somebody comes to the Bhaktivedanta Hospital and they have a disease, they should be rejected. No, you're not allowed here. No, they should be accepted into the hospital, but the physician should not take the disease. He should help them cure the disease, right? So we don't take the association of these demoniac personalities, but we try to give good association to these people so that they can ultimately follow in those footsteps of an acharya who is setting the appropriate example and behavior for the public at large. Now I see Heb is Heb says, "I am the disease." LOL. Well, we're all the disease, Heb. We all have fallen into this condition. In the Bible, it says, "No, not one has not fallen short of the glory of the Lord and sinned." So we're here. The wages of this sin is repeated birth and death. That's our wages for the activities that we're performing. So if we perform our activities only in the service of the Lord, then we're not going to have these reactions within the material world. So if we want to free ourselves in that situation, we have to follow in the footsteps of the great souls. And in this verse, it said that even a few moments of the association of, even just by seeing them, just by laying your eyes on them. Recently, we drove 8 hours just to lay our eyes on Jayapataka Maharaj. We just wanted to lay our eyes on it. That's all. Because what a great servant of the Lord. So when we see devotees who are engaged in the service of the Lord, it's all auspicious. We offer all our respects to them. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4:9, Janma karma chamedivyam, evam yo veti tapaha chakcham dehan panarjanma naitimam eti sorjana. So if you know the transcendental nature of the Lord's appearance, if you know the Lord's activities, nobody knows who is God. Who can say? You can go down the street with a microphone and go up to everybody on the street corner and go, "Who is God?" What do you think they're going to say to you? What kind of nonsense speculation do you think you're going to get? What type of indoctrination of some type of bogus dogma do you think we're going to run across here? And it just sounds ridiculous. I mean, no one has seen God. What? This is a whole book dedicated to people who are seeing him every day. We just heard that. Vasudeva, Devaki, how they had been with the Lord nonstop, as the parents of the Lord. So they don't understand. They think he's a burning bush or a voice in the sky. He's some old man, and he's mean. And because he has a gavel in his hand, and he's going to send you to hell forever, and there's no chance of redemption. No chance whatsoever. Can't get out. You're gone. History. Even your mother wouldn't do that to you. Is your mother greater than God? No. So the idea is he's not going to do that. So if you know the activities of the transcendental nature of the activities and appearance of the Lord, you do not take birth again in this material world, but you attain to the supreme abode. That's why we're trying to develop this project called Vrindavan Forest. Now, to go to Vrindavan, India may be difficult for some people, but we should have Vrindavan Forest on every street corner. We should find as many forests and call them Vrindavan Forest so that people can go and understand the pastimes, the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thereby fall in love with the Lord, fall back in love with God. Here we're thinking, oh, I love my children. I love my wife. I love my family. I love my house. I love my job. I love this. I love that. It's not love. You're just trying to lord it over the material energy. You understand? I mean, unless you're using them in the service of God, it says that no one should become a husband unless you can deliver your family. You should not become a teacher unless you can deliver those persons you're teaching back home, back to Godhead. And you shouldn't take up any position of responsibility unless you're able to give people the absolute truth. Now, on our own, we don't know. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Gyananjana. But weren't for Prabhupada coming and bringing this torchlight of knowledge, we wouldn't know each other. No telling what kind of nonsense we could have fallen into. I was already fully engaged in every type of nonsense you can imagine. So Prabhupada lifted me out of the gutter, literally, and educated me on the highest, most secret. Listen, Rajavidya, this is the king of all knowledge. Rajaguyam, Pavitram idam uttamam, Pratyakshavagamam dharmyam susukam kartamavyayam. This knowledge is the king of all education. It's the end of all knowledge and of all seeking after knowledge. What else is there after you understand this Bhagavat Dharma philosophy? What else is there that you should know? What? You want to study the life of the dung beetle? Some people spend their whole life trying to find out how he is rolling stool across the desert. Do you understand what I'm saying? Some people have done this. When Prabhupada saw the men hitting the ball into the golf course, Prabhupada said, "What are they doing there?" And one of the devotees said, "Prabhupada, they're trying to hit the ball and put it in the hole." He said, "Why? Why would they do such a thing?" In their old age of life, why they would do such a thing? When the devotees told him, Prabhupada wept. Prabhupada wept. So the compassion that Prabhupada had for us to come to this hellish place, get off of we just had this thing in Boston last year, where 60th anniversary of Prabhupada stepping off the Jaladuta. Could you imagine Prabhupada looking at these soot-covered buildings, black, sex advertising, tobacco advertising, liquor advertising, nothing but crime, nothing but noise, hellish industrial society. Prabhupada said, how will I make them understand? How will I do it? Well, there's no other way we can do it either without that guru kripa. We have to have the mercy of the spiritual master to be able to understand, first of all, Krishna says, I am knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So sometimes I forget, and I'll go, why are you doing that, Krishna? I'm trying to remember a good point, but I forget it. But sometimes, you forget. What can you do? But Krishna does say in Bhagavad Gita that Yeyatam mam prapadyante tangstataiva bhajamyaham mamavart manuvartante manusya parta sarvasha. So all of them, as they surrender, I will reward them accordingly. Everyone actually follows Krishna's path in all respects. Because no matter what you're doing, Krishna's providing everything for you. There's no, he's the soul of your soul. He is the Virata Rupa. Everything you see is Krishna. You can't get out of Krishna. You're within Krishna. You're part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this chapter is a lot about sacrifice. And we see that this wonderful sacrifice is going on. Krishna's there. So in Bhagavad Gita 4:31, he says, Nayam lokasya gyasya kutonya kurusatama. And without sacrifice, one can never live happily on this planet. What to speak of the next, or in this life, what to speak of the next. So the idea here is to follow in the great steps of these Mahajanas and these great yogis and saints, and do our best to get the association of the devotees who are living in accordance with the Sanatana Dharma. And in that situation, we too can become perfected by following in their footsteps. So any questions or comments? There's about 1, 2, 3, but there's about 6 or 8 verses that really stood out in my mind in this chapter. But we're going to run out of time, so I just wanted to ask anybody if they have any questions or any comments, anything they want to add to the discussion tonight.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, we didn't finish reading the last 4 verses. Should I just complete that off?
We didn't read the last 4 verses? Yeah, we did. Hanuman read them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, didn't you
Sorry.
read it, Maharaj? You read the last 4 verses, right? Obviously, you must have disappeared in your Vimana.
All right. I'm so sorry.
You're just flying around the universe there.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
So, guys, let me go over one verse with you though that I thought was really cool. This verse, text 13. It says, "One who identifies himself as the inert body, composed of mucus, bile, and air, and who assumes his wife and family are permanently his own, who thinks an earthen image or the land of his birth is worshipable, or who sees a place of pilgrimage as merely the water there, but who never identifies himself with, feels kinship with, worships, or even visits those who are wise in spiritual truth." such a person is no better than a cow or an ass. So if we think about it, our job is to give out Prabhupada to everyone, to give him to everyone we meet. We don't have to, all we have to know is what Prabhupada is teaching us. All we have to do is repeat that information. We don't have to make anything up. Everything is there, it's perfect. And so we shouldn't have any issue with that. Prabhupada said, even a child can become guru because they can simply repeat, chant Hare Krishna. Just simply chant Hare Krishna, the Yuga Dharma. So when it says, for some time it says that the sages pondered the Supreme Lord's behavior, which resembled that of a subordinate living being. And they concluded that he was acting this way to instruct the people in general. Thus they smiled and spoke to him, the spiritual master of the entire universe. And they offered their great prayers by saying, you are the power of illusion. You are the power of illusion. And you have totally bewildered us. The most exalted knowers of the truth and leaders amongst the universal creators were in this assembly. Ah, how amazing is the behavior of the Supreme Lord. He covers himself with his human-like activities and pretends to be subject to superior control. Avajananti mang mudha. So materialistic people, they think that Krishna assumes a materialistic form, but they're fools. They're just like cows and asses, it says here. I don't know about cows, but asses, it says here. So it says instead, the human-like pastimes of the Almighty are simply a pretense. They're simply a pretense. Effortlessly, it says, he sends forth from his self, his variegated creation. He maintains it and then swallows it all up again at the end. All without becoming entangled. Isn't that amazing? That the Lord can do this. It says in the Bhagavatam, it says like air found in a pot. The air is still separated from the pot. It does not become the pot. So this idea, he's recommended that one can perceive by means of austerity, study, and self-control, both the manifest and the unmanifest, and the pure existence transcendental to both. Now, Vamsa, you got your hand up, so lay it on.
Hi, Krishna Prabhuji. I'm just wanting to get what you think about what we read in one of the verses. Vasudeva is asked to do sacrifices because there's like every human being has a debt to the forefathers, debt to the sages, and debt to the demigods. And to the forefathers, it says like begetting children annuls that debt. And doing sacrifices, annuls the debt to the demigods. And to the sages, by reading scriptures written by the sages, annulling the debt. So in Krishna consciousness, we always say, just worship Krishna, chant his holy names, and by watering the root, everybody gets satisfied. But here, his own father is asked to do these rituals. So how can we understand that?
Well, these rituals have been going on for thousands of years, and they're designed to bring about this revolution really in the heart of people, because what it does is it purifies them. And through that purification, they become clean inside, and Krishna can actually speak and live in an environment like that. It's like sometimes when we say, "Dear Lord," we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're asking for service. We're asking the Lord to give us service. Well, you can take it even farther. You can ask the Lord, "Please, I'm building a throne for you in my heart, and I would like you to come and live in here. I would like you to sit on the throne, allow me to worship you in that situation." Whatever great men do, common men follow. And whatever exemplary acts they set, the whole world pursues. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, if I didn't do these processes, everything would be committed to ruination. So this is the example set by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even in sex life, he says, I am sex life that's not contrary to religious principle. So yes, I mean, there are so many performances of yajna, and we just heard a minute ago, yagyata karma nonyatra. If you don't do it, you're going to get karma. So, the idea is to engage all of your activities. Krishna says, yoginam mampi sarvesham. He says, madkatinantaratmanaha, shradavan bhajate yoma, same yuktatmato mataha. Of all the yogis, of all of them, he who abides in me with great faith, worshiping me in transcendental loving service, is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and he is the highest of all. Now, throughout the various yugas, there are different prescriptions, right, for this service, right? So at this time, these were the functions of society. So Krishna is sending that. Now, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, he says, that Sankirtan is the Yuga Dharma. So this has changed in each yuga according to the time, place, and circumstance. So now we know that we have a new process, and that process is to simply chant the holy names of the Lord and to spread it widely. So ultimately, all of this should bring us into the transcendental loving service of the Lord and intimately unite us with Him in yoga. When you say Hare Krishna, you're connected with Krishna directly. It's not like Krishna is in his name. Prabhupada said Krishna is his name. It's a different thing. He's not in his name. He is his name. It's non-different. So if you invite Krishna to come and you call out his name, he will come. I mean, if you call anybody by their name, they'll normally come, especially if you're in distress. Help, help, help. Well, even a mundane person will come to help for that. So Krishna is guaranteed that he will do that. Nam namakari bahudani jasarva shaktis. He's got all of his energies in his name. So, any other questions or comments? Did I answer your question, or does anybody else want to add to that? What Vamsi had asked.
No, I was disagreeing that it's exactly what you're saying, that time there were fire sacrifices which were stopped by Buddha in India, and I forgot who it was in the West, Abraham or somebody stopped them. But now in Kalodo saying what's the word, Haranama Eva Kevalo. Now, and so it's describing that they made very opulent arrangements for the sacrifices, right?
Yep.
It's the same way. We can pick proper musical instruments, we can get mridanga, kartal, we can get nice sound system. Then Prabhupada said without the deity present, actually I've already said there's no potency. So yeah, so we can establish very, very nice arrangements. Cleanliness, approval for the permits, the bathroom facilities, yeah, prasadam. Yeah. So then we can put up so much effort into making beautiful program and in different songs as well as songs explaining all the names and this kind of stuff, and then people can approach it from these different angles like that. But that's what I was understanding what you said, that it is this that was the sacrifices then, but now the sacrifices
Yeah, that's correct. So things change depending on the yuga, and Krishna came at the end of Dwapara Yuga, so they had different types of sacrifices at the time, and we read about them all throughout Srimad. Rajasuya sacrifice, Agnihotra. I mean, I don't know how many different sacrifices that we read, but there's so many. And normally Krishna shows up. If everybody's assembled there, Krishna shows up. And so what happens is when he shows up, he comes in on Garuda sometimes or whatever. He might appear as a dwarf. He just shows up with his begging pot or whatever he decides to do, however he wants to correct these devotees. But when he shows up, he always asks the same question. Does anybody know what question he always asks? He said, "What? You've called me. I'm here. What can I do for you? What boon would you like? What do you want?" And so, in most cases, once you see Krishna, once the devotees see Krishna, they realize that's the highest reward. They don't want anything else. They don't want anything else. They just want to remember the Lord birth after birth. They don't ask for anything else. They just want to be engaged in his association. So that's what we have to learn. Instead of asking for broken glass, who was it that asked for broken glass? Right?
Dhruva.
Huh?
Dhruva.
Dhruva, right. He said, I could have had the greatest boon, but instead I simply asked for broken glass. So the idea is that we can ask the Lord for any boon. And when we go to the Lord, we shouldn't go for material desires. We should go for spiritual desires. You should ask the Lord, please engage me in your loving devotional service perpetually, birth after birth. That's the only prayer that we should be asking. Any other prayer is actually like asking really for broken glass. We don't even ask for liberation. We don't even ask for that. So this is pure devotional service, and when we act in that way, we become purified. That verse I was saying a minute ago, avajananti mang mudha manushim tanam ashritam param bhavama janato mama bhutva maheshwaram. Fools deride me, he says, when I appear in my human form. Just like in this chapter, it says this, who was this who said they thought he was just a boy, right? Just some boy. And in many cases, Krishna was called a talkative boy. They didn't understand he was Supreme Personality of Godhead. They did not know. He has supreme dominion over all that be. And he exhibits that in the end result. And he liberates the demons and the devotees really simultaneously. So, guys, anything else that you can bring up right now? Because we're at 8 o'clock, and I am going to take another pain pill and go to bed.
I was reading, let me get to it. The purport under text 67 and 68. The purport by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti. And he actually gives us a lot more information here about what Krishna was doing before he actually left. And one of the things I like to listen, I was reading here, Ugrasena addressed Nanda Maharaj and he said, "My dear master of Raj, I bear witness to Vasudev's statements and take the solemn vow, I will send Krishna back to Vraj, even if I have to do it by force." And I thought that was so interesting. He was going to force Krishna to go back to Vraj. And then and so then after that, Krishna and Balaram then took Nanda aside, and in privately he explained how if I go directly to Vraj today, leaving aside all these Vishnus, they will die from the pain of separation from me. There are many thousands of enemies, more powerful than even Kesi and Arista, will come to annihilate all these kins. So obviously Krishna felt that he had too much responsibility to go back to Vraj right now. After returning to Dwarka, and then he said, I will go to Indraprastha and participate in the Rajasuya sacrifice. I'll kill Sishupal. I'll return to Dwarka and kill Shalva, and I will travel to a place just south of Mathura and save you by killing Dantavakra, I will then go back to Vraj and see all my old friends, and again sit on your lap with great pleasure. Indeed, with great happiness, I will spend the rest of my life with you. So he certainly did have an intention to going back to Vraj.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he
Just like reading that.
yeah. Actually, the truth is Krishna never leaves Braj. He never leaves. In the Bhagavatam, it says that Krishna is always in Vrindavan, in the spiritual sky, Goloka Vrindavan. He never leaves. These are expansions of Krishna, but he comes at this time in his self-same body. He comes, to the material world to perform these activities in, not in Goloka Vrindavan, but in Gokula Vrindavan. Gokula is the school. He's come to teach us how to come back home. So, but he himself never leaves, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Nadir Adir Govinda Sarvakaranam Karanam. He is the first without a second. Everything is expanded from him. He can be in billions and trillions of hearts at the same time. He is the actual material world. His body is the Virata Rupa. There's really nothing separated from Krishna. But by his own sweet will and his own pastimes, he comes to engage us in devotional service. And the verse I was wanting to quote a minute ago when we were talking about when, these sacrifices that Krishna was involved in and so forth throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, a different yuga. Because in Bhagavatam 11.5.29, this is way at the end. We're about to get to that next canto. He says, Krishna Varnam Twasak Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parsadam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayayar Yajantihi Sumedasa. And that means that in this age of Kali, people who are endowed with sufficient intelligence will worship the Lord, who is accompanied by his associates, known as the Panchatattva, by the performance of Sankirtan Jagya. So there we are, guys. Hare Krishna. Does that feel good to you? Everybody like that? Okay. I like it. Thank you. And there's all of our Hebas here. So, guys, great to have you tonight. Ajay Nitai is here too. I didn't even know he was here. I wish he could have read for us a little while or speak up. Vamsi, you got anything else you want to add? Because you always got some nectar. Okay. What are we doing this ritual for Krishna? I see our life as a ritual. What we should ask is, what are we doing this ritual for Krishna? Okay. That's a great question, because asking that question will, you'll see your connection in yogic perfection at every moment. If you see yourself connected to Krishna, your life is not really a ritual, might be a little different. A ritual sometimes is regarded to be more sadhana bhakti, but ultimately there should come raganuga. Raganuga means that spontaneous love and devotion should be part of the wellspring that comes after sufficient ritual. But I think that you're right on, Hib, that we're doing this life as a sacrifice for the Lord. And that ritual is the sacrifice. That we wake up every day, we call on the name of the Lord, we offer our respects to the great devotees of the Lord and the spiritual master. And we try to associate with the devotees, engage in devotional service at every moment throughout the day. So, okay, guys, that's all I got for you tonight. You all fired up?
Yeah,
Huh?
Yes.
definitely.
Okay, good. Take this with you till next week, and we'll meet again, same time, same station.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Repeat after me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare
Hare
Rama.
Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare
Hare
Rama.
Rama Rama.
Rama
Rama
Rama.
Rama.
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Have a great evening, guys. Thanks for your association. Please pray for Gayatri Dasa. Thank you very much. I'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
Haribol.
Yeah. Hope you
Hare
feel better.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you, guys.
Krishna.
Yes. Get well soon. Hare
Bye.
Krishna.
See you next time. Haribol.
Bye.